Greetings, my name is 𝗧𝗜𝗦𝗜𝗏. I'm the Process Optimization Specialist for Lakeside Process Controls and Emerson Impact Partner. In this episode, we're going to cover how to import raw data into Analyse. We're going to talk about importing EnTech formatted data into Analyse, and as well as importing timestamp asynchronous data. If you have some sort of historian that does not store the data at regular intervals, and talk about also how to export data typically to Excel. So you can see here we got Analyse running, and to import data is very, very simple. So here I got an Excel spreadsheet. I got two data sets here. As you can tell, I just generated a random number. And on the right side column, I just filtered that, and I created a integrated moving average, and there's kind of the time series right there. So to actually import the data into Analyse is very simple. So right now you can import the raw data. I can just actually select both columns. Yes, they must be in columns. I can do up to 32 columns because Analyse accepts 32 data sets at a time. Copy that. Then I can actually go to Analyse and just literally Control V. And I'm going to say put it in these two data sets. As I said here, 32 data sets maximum. Paste. Now it's going to ask me what kind of file it is. So here there's several options, and here we're going to go, I believe it's tab delimited. And so you can see here, this is the data right here. Bad data, you can tell it to replace with lab value, interpolate, or 0. I usually leave that, so I select both, and I go paste, and off we go. So you can see now I actually pasted that data. So there's a second data set, there's the first data set. Very simple. Now, obviously this is just raw data. There's no information about, there's your file name, that's done by collect, the tag, descriptor, the date, nothing has been updated. So what you could do is edit the data set. So you go edit header, and here you can change anything that is pertinent here. So what I would do, let's say I could change the time to, let's say 1300 if I want to. Further down, you can actually see the ranges, the PV ranges. Don't worry about the signal ranges. That's more for the data logger. PV range, engineering units. Usually, I think it's PV range. You got to change the time, the sample time, sample units. That's all. Now, what I'm going to do here actually is I'm going to apply to all views. So it's a bit of a trick. That way, it will change it for both data sets. And so if I go OK, and you can see here the time has changed. Now for this particular one, I can actually go back to edit header. And the tag, I'm going to call it IMA, integrated moving average. And I got to say IMA filtered data. And I'm only going to apply to this view. And if I go OK, now you can see here, there's the tag, IMA, and IMA filtered data. And all I would need to do then is just to save the files. Now I didn't change it here for the first one. Save it at .dat if I want to. And it's going to save it into my trusty little folder there. And off we go that way. Okay. So let me close all this. Now, you can see here, if you're doing 32 data sets, it's going to be a bit of a chore to be able to edit the data for 32 data sets, put in the proper tags, descriptor, ranges, and all that stuff. So there's an even easier way to do it, is that you can actually use what I call an EnTech template, which is just an Excel add-on. Excel, not even an add-on, it's an Excel template. Incidentally, if you actually want a copy of the EnTech template, you can email me. My email address will be in the first comment. We'll put it up on screen as well, and I will email you a copy of the EnTech template to import the data. So here, what you have is you got anything in red is what you enter. So here I got the client. I call it YouTube. There's a date and the time of the data. So what you could do is that you can actually get the raw data from, let's say, your historian. Let's say it's a pi historian. You can actually get the data. Make sure that it's actually equally sampled at the constant sample rate. If it's not sampled at equal sample rates, i.e. there's exception reporting and data compression, there is a way to get around that. I'll talk about that in a few minutes, but here the data must be sampled at the specific sample rate. You would enter the date when the data was collected, the time, the sample rate. Here I'm saying 1 second. You would actually enter the tag name, and the actual tag descriptor. Here's the range, PV range low, PV range high, PV range units. Do it the same here. And as you can see here, it says white noise. And if I go down to here, the tag says white noise. If I go here, IMA filter noise, that's the descriptor, PV high, PV low, sample time. So everything gets updated here. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go back to here, and I'm going to paste this data, and I'm going to put it right below where it says the square bracket data. Actually, I'm going to undo that, and I'm going to paste the value, because I'm actually pasting formula. So there we go. So we got all the data sets here all the way to the bottom. So we're all good. So what I'm going to do now is that everything's all set up. So I'm going to copy all this. I'm going to go back to Analyze, filter it. Again, I got 2 data sets. I'm going to paste those. Now, this is where it gets a little bit different here. I'm going to, you can see it says column 1, column 2. There's no information. I'm going to change that and going to tell it it's an EnTech text file. And now you can see it's changed it to here to white noise. You got the proper tags, tell you when the data started, data end, number of data points, and I'm going to paste that. So I've only pasted the 1 here, but you can see the IMA norm. That's your tag. IMA filter. That's your descriptor. The time, the date that I actually put in there, and all you would have to do then is just save this data. You can save all or save as, and it's going to save it in your proper. You can save it again as a text. I'll talk about that in a minute. So those are 2 main ways of importing data. Now there is one more. I'm going to close that. I'm going to close that. So now suppose you actually have what I call asynchronous data. Asynchronous data. So we'll go to EnTech timestamp. So here you would actually have your data set. You would fill in your header as you do right here. Here you actually have the actual timestamps when that particular sample was acquired. And you can see here it's not sampled at constant intervals. So from here to here, there's roughly 4 hours. Here to here, there's 4 hours. That's probably the exception reporting. There is actually under 2 hours. And then it gets a little bit more granular here. So what you do, again, so now you would copy all the way down. You make sure you include the timestamp as well. And I can include this as well in terms of if you want a copy of this. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to go back to Analyze, go paste. So I'm going to I usually choose 2 data sets because it's going to, there are 2 columns. And what I'm going to do now, I'm going to call it EnTech timestamp file. So here, if it has if it's missing data, so what it means by missing data is that it's obviously looking for equally samples. So here, what we're going to do is that we're going to interpolate between samples and between irregular samples, and we're going to tell it to interpolate once a second. So we got to be careful here. Obviously, we're kind of creating information, we're interpolating. I mean, keep that in mind. It may not be the true representation of what's going on, especially if the samples are very far apart. We don't really know what's going on between. But if it's irregular sample and it's reasonably close, it's better than nothing right now. So here I'm going to click on this one right here, go paste data, and go OK. So here I pasted a whole lot of data. And you can tell, so now I got a maximum of 262,144. So perhaps what I could do is, because this was truncated, I'm going to close this. And then I can paste it again. And I'm going to actually interpolate every 10 seconds. And so that's going to, so again, I'm losing information. I got fewer data points, but it's not truncated. Before, you could see it was truncated here. Now I got the whole data set, but it is sampled at every 10 seconds. And I can show that to you right here. Is that so here you got your time, 20:47:33, and this is at the end. And if I keep going this way, 23:13:03, and so forth. And then you can save that. So you can read in asynchronous data, but just be mindful that if you do interpolation, it may not be a true representation of what's going on, but it is better than not having any data at all. So I'm going to close this right now. Yes, no problem. What I can do is probably read in a data set. Let me see. What I could do is actually, I'll read in the one from the previous, the power spectrum data. And now to export data, it is very, very easy. So all you got to do is do a right mouse click again, copy data to clipboard. Very easy. Now I'll tell you which one. You can do top left, usually obviously is what you want. You can also copy the power spectrum peaks as well. We'll just do that. You can actually save it as XY format or timestamp. So let's do both. I'll show you what timestamp is. And then I'm going to go over here and paste the EnTech data. And all you do is Control V. That's all you do. And if I scroll down, you can see I got the timestamps and the actual data set right there. So then you can export it. You can do math. You do whatever you want with it. It's up to you. You can send it to someone who does not have the EnTech toolkit. That's all good. Now I'm going to go back to Analyze and just show you. Now here I'm going to go copy data to clipboard, but here XY format. And I'll show you the difference. So I go up to here and I go Control V. Just expand that for a minute. And the only difference here is that here you got the actual data point and not the actual time sample. So it's up to you to do what you want. Like I said, then you can save it and you're good to go. So I hope you found this video interesting and informative. Next video, we're going to talk about the data manager. As I mentioned probably a few times in previous videos, it's very, very common to deal with thousands of data files maybe tens of thousands of data files. So the data manager allows you to sort through it, to sift, to filter through it as well. So it's very, very powerful tool. And we'll also maybe talk about other videos as well. Maybe from your feedback, you say, hey, I want to know how to do this or something like this. Some other, maybe some special features. So thank you very much for listening and videoing, and we'll see you soon.